I'm Austin Lugo.
I'm Andrew Harp.
This is With Nothing to Say.
Let's talk about Stop Making Sense and True Stories.
Before we get started today, just a little quick announcement. Next week, we will be watching The French Connection. This is a movie neither Andrew and I have seen. It has been on my list for quite a long time. I'm sure it's been on your list too, Andrew. I don't know why neither of us ever got around to it. I actually used to work with the producer on that film, and it always seemed like a pretty great film, but I'd never seen it. So I'm excited.
I got to pick the movies. We wanted to watch something light. So I decided that we have to watch both these movies. Yeah, I had to pick both of these because I think like you are unfamiliar for the most part with the music of the Talking Heads. So I think if we just watch like True Stories, which is a feature, I think you would maybe been taken out a little bit out of the context of the band and its music. So we had to watch Stop Making Sense. And also Stop Making Sense is like a perfect concert film. It is like the greatest concert film ever made. So you have to, everyone should watch it and you have to watch it. So we'll talk about Stop Making Sense first and kind of like about what that movie is all about. But before that, like Austin, like, you know, um, since the group, the Talking Heads music is pretty intrinsic in both movies, honestly. Like how would you describe the music of the Talking Heads? And it's also basically a question also of how would you describe, I guess, the musical sensibilities of David Byrne?
Up to this point, the only Talking Heads music I really had heard was Wild Wild Life and maybe a couple of other singles. I'd never listened to a full Talking Heads album before. I'd never really listened to it on purpose. I've just kind of heard it out and about. It's not that I didn't want to hear it, I just been pretty much unfamiliar with it. I think the best way to describe the music is sort of this mix of 80s synth pop put together with kind of these lyrics that are often surreal and kind of out of this world. There's something almost, it's kind of like a combination of the lyrics of something like the Velvet Underground and the musical style of like an 80s pop band almost. It's a really unique experience. I'm struggling to kind of find a good comparison to it, probably partly because 80s music is one of my weaker decades of music, so I don't have a lot to compare it to. But I will say that the Talking Heads are a real bop. Like every song just hits.
They're like one of the greatest bands of all time, in my opinion. They're amazing. They are incredible, I think. Like they started it, their biggest stuff is in the 80s, but they started in the 70s. And they're interesting because they're art school students. You can kind of tell, but they played. They were very involved in like punk rock in New York City. So they play at CBGB. They play at CBGBs a lot, but they're not really a punk band. I would say they're, I think, what people call like a new wave. They're new wave music, and they kind of have. They're not really. Their image isn't like very like punked out. They're more kind of like clean cut almost. They like I said, they kind of have like the art school thing going on, but they like utilize a lot of different genres too, like a lot of different kinds of genres, including punk, but also like art rock, funk, and a lot of like world music too. Stop Making Sense is interesting because you can kind of almost see kind of like the progression of their sensibilities and of their music, from the beginning to the end. Because at the beginning of the movie, the band started out as a three piece. So it was David Byrne, Chris France, and Tina Weymouth. And it was just the three of them. Like on the first album, 77, that album is just the three of them. So it's very kind of stripped back. And the songs are just very like, not simple, I guess simple, but then they added Jerry Harrison. And then and then like as the albums progress, they get like way more complex in terms of like their grooves, their songs become way more groovy, and they start to like utilize a lot of like different percussion, and you see that in the movie, which is brilliant.
It's definitely a very complex experience. And I really appreciate that about the concert movie. You're watching the progression of this band from one individual. And then with each song, they kind of add more and more people until you have this, like this 8-person group that are all kind of just vibing together. And it's almost,
It's so good.
it's good. It's great. There's like this jazz element almost to it. They're kind of all like,
It's so electric. Yeah.
they're like feeding off of each other in a way.
Yeah. Like I love how it begins too, where you have like David Byrne, he comes out with a boombox, and it's just him playing acoustic guitar and boombox, and he plays like what is probably their most biggest hit, Psycho Killer, which is that album. It's great. That was I listened to a podcast with Chris France, who's the drummer, and he said that like, yeah, that was the first song we all wrote together. Like that was the first song we ever wrote, which that's insane. Like that song's amazing, and that's like the first song that they all were like, hey, let's write a song. Like that's incredible. Like why even like try to do anything? But he comes out with a boombox and it plays like a little drum beat, and he does that song, and the way it's set up and the way that it's shot, it looks like he's like in a warehouse.
Yeah, there's like multiple stages on the stage, and then as people come out, they kind of like pull down curtains and move things around. So it's always constantly changing, which kind of creates just this real effect of movement and changing of place, which is kind of strange for a concert movie. Instead of, there's clearly a lot of thought into it. It's not just, we're going to put on a concert and then someone will just, we'll have a couple of cameras and then we'll just cut back and forth. There's clearly a lot of thought put into the performance of each song, not only at the physical concert itself, but also the viewing of it. Also, have you ever seen Documentary Now?
Yeah, I have you seen the episode where they make fun of it?
That's everything I know about this episode.
Do you know what they were making fun of when you watched it?
No. Yeah, I get it now.
Yeah, that's what they're making fun of. Yeah, they made fun of other musicians though in that episode. Like they make fun of like Tom Waits and stuff like that.
But up to this point, that was my only experience of Stop Making Sense, was the spoof on Documentary Now.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. That's pretty funny. They chide and make fun of constantly like David Byrne and like Talking Head songs, and like how kind of like strange they kind of are, and they're like writing and stuff like that. But I love them. They're so good. I love to like you have that second track where they like Tina Weymouth comes out. It's just like Tina Weymouth and David Byrne. They do that great rendition of one of their better ballads, Heaven. Chris France comes out and plays drums, and it's the three of them, and they're doing like I think Thank You for Sending Me an Angel. And then Jerry Harrison comes out, and the four of them play together, and it's like, okay, because Jerry Harrison came later, and it's the most narrative driven concert film that doesn't actually have like a story going on.
It's incredible. I mean, I think the experience is probably a little different for me because I never heard most of these songs before. So
it's not a bad start though. Like it's a good start because like all their best songs are like in there,
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, there were a couple of songs I knew, but most of the time it was kind of new territory for me, which is always an interesting experience when you go to a concert not having listened to a lot of their music before, because concerts tend to be a kind of best of sort of experience. So most people at the concerts, right, have listened to all their music and they're there for certain songs. And so going to a concert, quote unquote, or watching the concert, knowing very little about the Talking Heads other than a couple of songs, created for a really intriguing experience. And just trying, especially with the Talking Heads, because their music is so strange and surreal, and there's kind of a lot to wrap your head around.
They're funny too.
Yeah. They are.
They're really funny. And obviously, like, the lead singer, David Byrne, he himself is amazing. He's an amazing singer. He's an amazing dancer. Like his stage presence is amazing. He's like he's a very lanky guy with like giant, he has like really like big eyes. Like he can make his eyes like really wide. He's so good.
So good.
He's got a very unusual voice, but he's a good singer.
Yeah, he is. And his dance moves are definitely,
they're so good. I'm trying to think of like, I like I think I I forget what song it is. I think it might be Burning Down the House. It might not be Burning Down the House, but it's where he does like the weird like dancing with his legs and stuff like that, and he's like
Yeah.
going like this and stuff. Well, he's like standing still singing. I don't know if it's Burning Down the House. I forget exactly what track it is, but that's when like he's just like singing. He's not playing guitar or anything. But yeah, his I like it when he like in the middle of one song he just jogs around the stage. Like he just like jogs around the stage for no reason.
Runs around the whole stage.
And yeah, and like you said, everyone like appears to be having like an incredible time. Like all the people on stage.
It's look like they're having so much fun, especially David Byrne. Like, I mean, he's just like drenched in sweat and he is so physical. Like, even when he's playing guitar, he just has like so much going on. He's like doing like 20 different things at once. It's insane.
He's like the greatest, he's like one of the greatest rhythm guitar players ever. He's so good. He's just like, yeah, he's playing like electric guitar, acoustic guitar, and he's just going crazy. He's just so fun. Yeah, he's so enigmatic, and he's just fun. Like he just keeps it interesting, which is like everything that he does when he's on stage. He's so good. And yeah, like I said, I mean, the songs themselves are amazing. And of course, on top of just all these different things, the visuals and the way that the movie is directed is also like a big part of why it's so good. Directed by Jonathan Demme, of course, who's mostly known for Silence of the Lambs. But it's so good. He recorded. So Stop Making Sense isn't one show. It's footage from 4 different shows played at the same place.
Really? I did not know this.
So what he did was that he would set up. So one show would just be wide shots. One show would be like close ups, and like another show would be some other type of shot.
Oh shit.
So it's like a combination of like all these different different shots, because he didn't want to. I think he just didn't want to like clutter like one show, just like film one show and have like cameras everywhere. He also, in the movie, he doesn't do a lot of audience shots at all, like barely any, like basically none.
Yeah, really not till the end. There's like a couple of shots of the audience, but otherwise you almost never see the audience, which is fine with me.
Yeah, it doesn't, who cares? Yeah. The way that Demme filmed it, it doesn't really matter, because yeah, like I didn't know that information until recently. I mean, it's filmed at the same location. I think it's pretty seamless. It's very seamless.
I would say so. Yeah, that's quite impressive. You would have no idea that. So then it's the same show they did 4 times. Like it's the exact same show, and then he just did like wides, and then he did like close-ups, and then he did. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like yeah. So like yeah, like instead of having instead of performing one show where you have like several cameras doing close-ups and several cameras doing wides, you just focus. Okay, on this show, we're just going to do wides.
Sounds like a lot of work.
I know, it's incredible. It does sound like a lot of work. It sounds like, but like I said, it pays off because it looks great, and they get lots of great moments and footage. If they just did one show, it probably you probably would have missed a lot of things.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot there. I love all the outfits too. Like it's very kind of like risky business 80s style suits and grays and blacks. It's cool.
I read recently too that so one thing about the movie too is that the lighting is really good. Very simple, but it's extremely effective. David Byrne told the band to just wear like plain colors so that they wouldn't like affect the lighting, like create any like unnecessary reflections or anything like that. So yeah, they wear like very plain clothing, but everyone, yeah, the fits go off in this movie, in true stories as well. But we'll get to that. Yeah. And you even get a really good Tom Tom Club song too, which is fun.
Yeah. That's one of the few songs I knew. Genius of Love. Great song.
Great song. Tom Tom Club is just Chris Frantz and Tina Weymouth.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Like that's their band. They're a married couple. And yeah, that's just like their band and stuff. Fun song, very funky. I think you get up to like maybe like 10, 11, 12 different band members on stage, backup singers, a percussionist, all the main members of the band, another guitar player guy that they have.
Someone's playing synth. Yeah.
And all the band members too, they play different instruments too. Like sometimes you'll see Tina play bass, which is what she does, but sometimes she'll play like a synthesizer or drum machine or something. Frantz pretty much plays drums the whole time. And then you'll see Jerry Harrison. He plays guitar, but also play like keyboard and he'll sing and stuff like that. So yeah, everybody's like very musically inclined and very, very good at their jobs. And yeah, they just give like the best performances, I think, all together. Like you said, it's just
Mhm.
Incredible music.
They love it. They're just vibing. I think that's what really makes a great concert great is just how much they themselves enjoy like being there. We recently watched the Get Back series and watching Paul McCartney play on the rooftop. He's just so happy. He's just so happy to be there. I just love it when musicians are just excited to just be a part of the experience.
And I think what stopped making sense is I think it was entirely funded by the band.
Oh shit, really?
Like I think it was entirely their decision to do it, and they like pull. I think they just pulled a bunch of money together. Like they just really wanted to do it. It's incredible. I forget which song it is, but like you also get like in talking about like visuals and stuff. Yeah, the thing where it's like the different pictures appearing on the screen. They have like a 3-screen like projection kind of things, and like I like it when it's like a black red background and it just has like a random word. I think one of them says Star Wars or something like that, and I'm trying to think of like another word that appears, like things like a toothbrush.
Library.
Yeah, or like random photographs as well. I like that. I like that a lot. Very art schooly, but it's good.
Yeah. And it also makes these incredible silhouettes because they're standing in front of them and they turn all the lights off. And so you'll kind of just see the silhouette of these band members as these words are running behind them. It's a really cool look.
My favorite use of lighting is when all the lights are off and they do what I think is like easily like top 3, top 5 best Talking Head songs. When he does Naive Melody, This Must Be the Place, where it's just like David Byrne singing, and it's just like I think the only light source is like a lamp, like the kind you would find like in a living room, and he's like dancing and stuff around it. That's like one of the best
Oh yeah.
like renditions of that song too. Like the best rendition of that song. And just just an incredible like throwing it around, not throwing it around, but more just kind of like dancing around it and kind of
Like dancing with it.
dancing partner.
Yeah.
It's so good. And everything is relatively simple for the most part. Obviously, like the songs are complex, especially when you get into like their later period stuff, where it's like very like polyrhythmic, where it's just like it just the whole time while David Byrne is singing and stuff, there's just like a nonstop like rhythm going on in the background where it just keeps, it's just those are my favorite Talking Head songs too. Those kinds of songs.
It's a lot to take in, but I mean, I think it's worth the experience. I think maybe I probably should have listened to a little bit more Talking Heads before coming into the concert, but I kind of like the naivete I had coming in because it, especially as because it kind of grows right in complexity as the film goes on. So you're kind of taken on this journey, and by the end, it's just absolute chaos, like both visually and sonically, insanity.
You were grooving though, I bet. You're grooving.
Oh yeah, I was very much so.
They grew for sure. Do you have like a favorite song or moment?
I think for me, at least visually, was I love the opening when it's just David Byrne and he's kind of running around the stage, and there's those moments where like the track like it like sounds like it's kind of like
Yeah, skipping. Yeah.
and he like does like these weird dance moves. I love that. It's so bare. And then of course I also love the moment we talked about earlier with the rear projections and the silhouettes because that's just badass. It just looks incredible.
Probably the most iconic moment is when they do Girlfriend is Better, which is a great song. When of course Byrne comes out in the giant business suit,
Giant suit.
which of course is like iconic. I read a book that he wrote called How Music Works. It's a good book, written by David Byrne, and he kind of talks about like theater and like concerts and stuff like that, and like kind of like performance art. I think the suit was partly inspired by like No theater styles, like NOH, and how like they have like really big kind of like suits and like costumes and stuff. That's just a classic look. Just the big giant suit where he's like his head looks like really small. It's so good. And like that song is good too. Girlfriend is Better. That's like obviously that's where the term stop, that's where the lyric stop making sense comes from. Girlfriend is Better. Good moment. I love that moment. Yeah, it's just one every song, it just has something going on from a visual standpoint for the most part. I would say is important when you're watching a movie. Like it's not just like people standing on stage like singing the songs and stuff.
Yeah.
Even if like the performances are really good, I guess Talking Heads make it interesting because the visual aspect is there. Like it's for sure there. And the progression too, like we talked about, of like what a movie is, like the progression of a movie from beginning to end is also there too, you know?
Yeah, I was definitely nervous going into this that it would be just, I mean, as much as I was excited to listen to the Talking Heads, but what I didn't want to watch, it was just an hour and a half of just a concert because I don't know. I mean, I like going to concerts very much and I like to listen to albums, especially on vinyl, but there's something about watching a concert on TV that to me is a little underwhelming of an experience.
Yeah, it can be, of course.
But I would not say that this is of that same genre. I think this is kind of its own thing. It's definitely far and above a quote unquote concert movie.
It's totally in the moment, but also very planned and very meticulous. Yeah, that's probably the best way I can describe it. It's just completely like it feels totally of its own thing. And every moment feels like it's just there and then it goes away. You know what I mean? It's just all very, very, but everything is planned, you know, everything is like, you know, set up very, very well. Like all the songs, you know, if they played hundreds of times, you know, but so everything sounds perfect, but it's still, yet it still feels like you're watching it happen for the first time. And even in the recording, the way that it's directed and shot and lit, it's all perfect. It's all just where it needs to be for a feature concert film. And it's a good introduction to it. I think for the most part, it's a good introduction to the Talking Heads because all, like I said, all their best songs are on it, every single one. Yeah. Final thoughts and rating for you, Austin.
I came into this film, as I said before, pretty nervous because as much as I was excited to listen to some Talking Heads, I was not particularly excited to sit around watching people play instruments for an hour and a half. But this experience was definitely not that. There's a lot of narrative here, there's a lot of thought here. Visually, it's incredibly complex. The music is insane and all over the place and surreal and definitely something to groove to. I think my only complaints at the end of the day is that I'm just not a huge fan of concert films, which this is definitely not your average concert film by any means. Probably is. I mean, I've seen only a handful, and it's definitely 10 times better than any that I've seen before. I don't really have any complaints. I just think that if given the option, I think I might rather just listen to the music than sit down and watch this, even though it is visually very appealing, visually very interesting. I'm very excited that I watched it. I'm very glad that I watched it. I had a good time. It's hard for me to kind of stay focused on something like this where there isn't a central story, at least for me. So I'm going to give this film a 6 out of 10, even though I very much enjoyed it. I liked it. It was hard for me to stay focused on this film.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's a perfect 10 out of 10. You know, when I'm evaluating, like when you look at it from like a concert film, like what is a concert film supposed to do? And I think it does everything that it needs to do. And in fact, it kind of like takes what a concert film typically is and kind of actually gives it kind of like a narrative flow where you see the band kind of like performing at the beginning, some of their early tracks, and then, you know, more and more people get added and the music becomes even more complex and interesting and even more, maybe even more idiosyncratic. Yeah, it's just like perfectly directed. You know, Demi is just with this movie and probably with others. I haven't watched a ton of his movies. There's some I've watched that are very, very good. You know, he's a genius. You know, he just completely knocked it out of the park in terms of like how a concert film should be filmed. He's just able to, you know, take all the footage from those 4 concerts and really makes it seem like it's just one show. It's extremely impressive. And yeah, I'm kind of biased just because like I'm a big fan of the band. Like I think I love the band. I think they're one of the greatest rock bands of all time. So of course, like, you know, Stop Making Sense is obviously like something for, you know, me. Yeah, it's just I can't say any more good things about it. You know, it's just a perfect concert film. And, you know, I'm definitely gonna be watching it. You know, I've watched it like several times. It's so good. So yeah.
Now let's move on to True Stories, the second of the double feature. David Byrne directed, 1986.
1986.
I mean, it's like a narrative slash documentary sort of. It's kind of hard.
I wouldn't say it's a documentary.
It's shot like a documentary, though.
I guess, yeah. Well, the movie has like a lot of non-actors in it who like actually live there and are from that area that they make that they film in.
Right.
So there's obviously that kind of like real kind of aspect to it. I don't know if it's necessarily shot like a documentary, but I see what you mean.
Well, I think that's more so towards the beginning, like when he goes to the computer factory, or
Yeah.
just kind of the way, like maybe not documentary so much as almost like a reporter on the scene, because they are all based, or a lot of the stories are based off of articles that he had written for different newspapers and such.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there is kind of this reporterish element, like you're almost watching a newscast of sorts, I guess, more than documentary.
I believe some of the stories with some of the characters, the main ones, actually do come from real tabloid stories.
Awesome.
They're tabloid stories. The woman who never gets out of bed, the bachelor looking for a wife, like all of these are real things I think they found in tabloids. Which yeah, like that's kind of like the thing going on with it, you know, like true stories, the way that the cover of the album looks, because there is also a True Stories Talking Heads album where they perform, you know, the songs from this movie. I'm not sure what came first, actually, though. Now that I think about it, the album or the movie, or maybe they're just intertwined in some way. Yeah, it's like all taken from these like tabloids. I guess like we can begin talking about the movie
Let's jump in.
directed by David Byrne. I know before this, I learned before this he directed some Talking Heads music videos, and this is basically his first and only feature that he ever directed, which in my opinion is kind of a shame because he's really good. I mean, he's an amazing musician, and obviously that's his main thing, and he's incredible. But considering like how great this movie is, in my opinion, you know, it's kind of a shame he didn't direct like some more features.
Yeah, I would definitely be interested in seeing. I mean, I guess he's still alive, right? He could get back into it.
Not only is he alive, but I mean, he still tours, he still makes albums and music.
He still writes music for movies, doesn't he? He composes a lot of music for.
No, he still makes music. He still makes albums and stuff.
I didn't know that.
No, he's like solo in a solo capacity. He came out with this album called American Utopia, which is decent, and then he went on tour. Yeah, he's still alive. He still does stuff. He does a lot of stuff. He's written a few books as well. Like he's an avid bicyclist. You know, tons of solo albums. He's just never stopped, even though he's really old now.
So there's still time. He can make another movie.
We'll see about that. We'll see about that. But yeah, True Stories. It's a film about a bunch of people in Virgil, Texas, as it tells you at the very beginning.
Which is like middle of nowhere, desolate, small town. It's like a desert town, basically. I mean, there's pretty much nothing there. I love whenever David Byrne is driving in this car and like he's talking to the camera and there's like
Yeah,
and there's like rear projection behind him that's very clearly rear projection, which just makes it all the better.
sometimes he's driving, sometimes he's actually driving, but sometimes he's obviously it's clear when he's not, which is yeah intentional.
Well, I think that's one of the interesting things about the film is that the very first time he like talks to the camera and he's driving, it's rear projection and it's pretty bad rear projection. It's like, 1950s style, like Alfred Hitchcock. As the movie progresses, the rear projection gets better and better. And then by the end, they do which must have been incredibly hard to shoot, but they do basically a live shot where David Byrne is actually driving and he talks to the camera, and it's clear that the camera's in another car and he's shooting it while driving, which is just, I mean, the amount of forethought that would have to go into that is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's probably like you said earlier, it's probably worth mentioning that like for those confused, David Byrne is in the movie. So David Byrne basically plays himself, and he's basically the narrator of the movie. And he is going on a tour with you in Virgil, Texas, as he meets different people and he goes into different places, and you meet kind of like the town with him. And he's funny. He's basically just like an alien person. Like he's almost like he might as well just is like an alien visiting Earth, because of course David Byrne, he looks very weird. His fits go off the entire movie. He's always wearing like a cowboy hat and like very like a cowboy kind of outfits.
Very colorful. A lot of bolo ties.
Yeah. He's unbelievable. He shows like no emotion the entire movie. He's just kind of like talks very like plainly. He never like smiles or frowns or anything like that. He's incredible. But he sets up at the beginning of the movie. He's like, "Yep, Texas. This is the town of Virgil. Like they're gonna have a party. I'm gonna go check it out. Like it's 150 years of like the founding of Texas. So we're gonna go and see what they're going to do in Virgil. And that's pretty much what he, that's how the movie starts, is that he just is like, this is what we're going to do. Let's go. It's a perfect beginning.
David Byrne has such a unique perspective on things. And I think that's one of the strongest points of the film is whenever he's describing Texas, or even before that, when he kind of describes the creation of the United States, which I think is one of the funniest parts of the movies.
Yeah. That part's pretty good. Yeah. That is good.
It's basically this series of images, which one of my favorite things about this film is the editing is absolutely off the wall. And when they ever do any sort of montage, it is absolutely insane. And that opening montage where he's describing kind of the creation of the United States and particularly the creation of Texas, I mean, it is just this conglomerate of all of these different images kind of coming together. And it's kind of like shooting at you like 100 miles per hour. It almost feels like as if you're watching one of these films that's like trying to hypnotize you or something. Do you know what I'm kind of talking about? Like those kind of like
Yeah.
It feels like that almost. Like there's just so many images, it's so fast. And of course, overlaying all these images is David Byrne's just absurd comedy and how straight-faced he is when he tells any of these stories. And kind of as you described, he has this perspective that feels alien in a weird way, like as if he's describing it as if he didn't himself experience it, as if he's someone who's never had human emotions before, which kind of creates this weird dichotomy that makes it even more funny. He's so fun. He's so funny.
He's like one of the best. I mean, he might not be in it. He might not be in it enough. He might not be in it enough. That might be like my only like kind of like, I guess, like complaint, is that he isn't in it enough. But I'm okay with that. It's still, I think he's still in it a good amount of the time. And whenever he is there, he's utilized very, very, very perfectly. He just driving through. I like too, like you mentioned, like he's like driving a fake car. I like when he's driving and all of a sudden his steering wheel is like going crazy. That's so funny. It's just a good like quick moment. And like you said, the movie is completely just a collection of moments, basically, is what I would describe it as. Very fleeting moments.
Yeah. It's almost as if it's kind of like a series of short news stories and they kind of just put them together. In a lot of ways, the connections may only be that they all take place in Virgil or David Byrne just happens to be there, which I think when David Byrne's there, I think it's easy to kind of bring things together because he does bring his kind of weird surrealist perspective, and there is this sort of sense of experiencing this city as if you've never seen a city before, like as if this is kind of its own thing. Like even though Virgil in many ways, as David Byrne describes it, is the most average of towns, he has this really interesting way of making the boring and the traditional and the average really interesting. And I think those moments are my favorite moments. Like when he goes to the microchip factory.
Yeah, that's at the right at the beginning.
Yeah, right at the beginning of the movie. And he's describing the shape of the building, which just seems very simple.
It's a box. It's cool. I love when he's like, it's a multi-purpose shape. It's cool. Yeah, he's standing outside the building. It's so good. Yeah. And it's just a regular building. You can drive through any like interstate, like in the Midwest in Indiana, Ohio, like Illinois, and I mean you'll drive past like 50 of those buildings, like an office building in the middle of nowhere. But he's able to just like make it like kind of interesting, even for just like a moment. It's so good.
Just like the tiniest thing. And then of course he goes in there and you meet with all these employees who,
yeah, they're working.
They're doing their thing, they're doing their microchip thing, and I love how different all their personalities do. And you also get to meet basically most of the town in kind of this moment, because basically Virgil, as described later in the film, is entirely funded by this one company basically owns the whole town. So almost everyone works there. So when you run down the conveyor belt, you meet like at least half the characters in the film, which I think is a really interesting way to kind of show off their different personalities, but also they're kind of all in the same place doing the same thing.
Yeah, you meet the lying woman, which is a great character. She is basically like in every situation. She's played by someone who I have like the Blu-ray Criterion of this movie, And I finally watched like a making of feature that was came out a couple of years ago with it. I learned a bunch of interesting stuff, including the lying woman is played by this woman named Joe Harvey Allen, who's like a playwright and play actor. And they found her and they put her in the movie. And I don't think she had ever been in a movie before. And a lot of the stuff that she says in the movie, maybe not everything, but I think a good amount are stuff written by her.
That's great. That's incredible. You would never guess that. She has a very natural talent in front of the screen. Like she feels very comfortable.
Yeah. She's super funny. Yeah, and she's always like lying and stuff, like about being like in a relationship with JFK. Or I like her lie about how like Rambo's real. Like he was my boyfriend in Vietnam when I was a nurse or something like that. That moment's really great. And you also meet I think in the factory you meet Ramon, played by Tito Lariva, who's like a musician, and he's been in some other movies too. He's really good. He's funny.
And that's the first musical number, isn't it? At the factory.
He hints at it. He sings Radiohead to the girl, like to the girl city, which is, yeah, that's a cute moment where he's like singing to her. That's fun.
The factory is also where we meet John Goodman, who's in a full white, not scrubs, but like
Like a hazmat suit almost.
a hazmat suit. Yeah.
Kind of like, yeah, like a big plastic suit. His introduction is great. It's like, I like to go out. Yeah, and he sets up himself well. I love how the colors in that shot too look, where we are outside, like there's a window, and it's like the room that you're in is a completely different color than the one that he's in. And then you teleport inside the room that he's in. He works there and he's just like, yeah, I'm looking for a wife. Like, I'm not looking for a girlfriend or anything like that. Like, I'm looking for like someone to marry. John Goodman is super good. This is like a very early performance by him. Like this, I think from what I could tell, like in terms of maybe film, I don't know if he was in Roseanne at this point or not. He might have been. In terms of film, this might be his like first or one of his first lead performances, which is amazing. He's very funny.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen John Goodman this young before. It was a different experience. It took me a minute to get used to it. It's kind of like the first time I saw Michael Caine in something that he wasn't old. It takes some time to get used to.
Yeah, because they're in so many. Yeah, like Goodman and Kane, like they're just in so many movies that in their late life that we have seen, very popular movies. So yeah, it's like getting used to like his early stuff. Kane was in a lot of movies too, though, when he was young. They're just like not as popular as the stuff that he's in now. Yeah, but I love Goodman's introduction. I like his introduction too because it shows like all the different like dates that he's been on that have failed. Like when he's at the Chinese restaurant with all the kids. That moment's nice. Yeah. And then I think like, yeah, you're introduced to John Goodman, and he's basically the main character of the movie pretty much.
Yeah, he's our protagonist, I guess.
Yeah, we want him to get a wife. We want him to be like happy and in love. He just can't seem to get it. Can't seem to get a wife. He's got like a sign outside of his like a house that his wife wanted, like an arrow sign.
So stupid.
Which is a good shot. It's on screen for like literally 2 seconds, but it's a great shot. It looks great. It's funny. And then I think the first song is Wild Wild Life when they go to the club.
Yeah, it sure is.
I like how the club is like connected to like a mall. It's very Texas.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, the first song is like Wild Wild Life at the Club, which is an incredible song. That's like a top 10 Talking Head song.
Easily. It's probably one of my favorite musical performances in the film too, because
It's so good.
Soul basically is like a karaoke thing almost. And so as the song goes on, like each line is sung by or like lip sang by a different person. And so you get people of all different ages, races, ethnicities, all kinds of things. Children, old people. It's very fun.
Yeah, all different kinds of people. The movie is so optimistic. It's like one of the most, that's why I love it so much. It's one of the most optimistic movies I've ever seen. The United States, it's like a fucked up country in a lot of ways. But sometimes it's just nice to watch a movie that's just kind of like, at least like somewhat, I wouldn't say like the movie is like extremely optimistic to like a nationalistic point of view. It's mostly just kind of like, you know what, the United States, it has problems, but also it's like really weird. And the people in it are really weird and interesting. And they have all their own little things going on. And that's like really beautiful. That movie sends that message perfectly.
Yeah, there's this sense almost of happiness simply for happiness sake. And you definitely said with Wild Wild Life, but throughout the whole film, because even though there are a lot of criticisms that could be made about the town of Virgil, about the fact that the town's basically run by this one company. And there's definitely like some very super depressing.
You can make like an alternate version of the movie where it's like, yeah, like a more like bleak movie. Yeah. Or like it shuts down and everybody gets laid off, or like there's like a horrible, or maybe there's like a strike or something. And
But I think what David Byrne is so interested in this town is sort of the beauty of averageness. Like I think there could be this perspective that, you know, it's sort of this just dull, boring town run entirely by this one company and basically these three people. But David Byrne is just so interested in the averageness of it and the uniqueness of the individual human lives. And I think you see that in the song Wild Wild Life, because it's also intercut between them singing all of these different images. And it's just so, I don't want to say happy go lucky, because it's not as if David Byrne is pretending like these issues don't exist or it's not there. But I think his perspective is coming from a place of seeing the normal as abnormal. And simply by doing that, you're kind of inverting the dullness into something intriguing and interesting. And so even though the lives of these individuals may as a whole be unimportant, and I think this is kind of something that David Byrne subverts as compared to a typical film where a typical film's about an extraordinary person doing an extraordinary thing, where David Byrne is completely interested in normal people doing normal things. I mean, basically all the plots here are just people kind of just chilling. I mean, the biggest plot point is John Goodman trying to find a wife. Like that's the biggest thing. And it's not, in the long run, it's not really that big of a deal. But David Byrne cares so much about everyone in this film that it just feels very lovely, very loving.
I agree kind of mostly what you said, but I think David Byrne, he has such an eye, and they talk a lot about this in the documentary. He has such an eye for people that I think what he does is that he's able to find the extraordinary aspects of ordinary people. But not in a like, I think other people, if they did that, it would be like more like a freak show. But because David Byrne is like, it seems genuinely interested in these people and the things that they have going on, like you said, it comes across as very loving and very heartfelt and optimistic, and not just kind of like, oh, look at all these weird freaks and people, can you believe it? Everything is filmed and set up very lovingly, and everyone comes across very positively, not necessarily in a forced way, but like in a very like organic, good natured way, which is why it succeeds so much. And yeah, like that like the music video basically of Wild Wild Life is great, because yeah, it's a very like diverse film too, very all kinds of different kinds of people in the movie, which that's what Texas is. Like there's like black people and Mexican people and people of different shapes and sizes and ages, and so, and that's on full display in the movie. And but it's not done in a way where it's like trying to make fun of people, or the movie in no way is racist or xenophobic or anything like that. It's all very much good natured and very just kind of like, this is how it is. I think my favorite part is when he goes to the shopping mall. That part of the movie is probably the most like, I don't want, maybe not cynical, but maybe a little like
Yeah.
skeptical, where David Byrne, shopping is a feeling, like shopping is a feeling. In David Byrne, I love that scene where he walks to the shopping mall and he's narrating himself, and he's just like, what time is it? No time to look back. I love that line. Or when he says, the shopping mall has replaced the town square. Obviously, that idea is kind of a little dated now, but I guess it's still kind of related, because yeah, like the shopping mall replaced the town square, but now there's no shopping mall or town square anymore. So now there's nothing. I guess that's even more messed up.
Yeah. His whole ramble about the shopping mall and kind of the idea of course, the big business taking over the kind of small local business, as he kind of points out, of, people can bargain shop. And I love the moments when he's like talking to the camera and someone will just like walk into frame and just start talking to David Byrne.
I know. I love, yeah, when John Goodman comes out of nowhere, he literally, it's clear that John Goodman is standing on the side and he like walks in. It's so good. I love that. Yeah. He's like, yeah, David Byrne's looking around and John Goodman has the most insane fit on. I mean, he looks awesome. He's got like a great hat. He's wearing like a zip up, like athletic kind of gear, but he's wearing like a jacket and like a suit. And he's got those, he like looks at his shoes. I love just like when David Byrne says, those are great. Unbelievable delivery. Just crazy delivery when he just says those are great. Or when he meets the computer guy and he's like, I'm trying to beam like signals up to the sky. And David Byrne's like, oh, that part's so good.
I love how much David Byrne is just kind of their experience. He's never contradictory to anything. Like anything anyone says, he's just like, yep, that's great. No one. He just agrees with everyone.
He doesn't argue with anyone. Yeah. I love it. It's so good. One thing that they point out in the shopping mall too is that they're like, oh, those are twins. Like they're working at the same kiosk. And throughout the whole movie, there are like sets of twins everywhere to make it, I think, kind of weird, kind of like a little like jarring. I think they talk about that in the documentary about how David specifically wanted lots of twins because to wear the same clothes too, and he wanted like couples in the movie too to wear like the same kind of clothes as well. So it kind of creates this weird thing. I don't know. It's great.
Yeah, that's incredible. It definitely feels like simultaneously that this town could be any town, but I mean, with the twins and the way people dress, like there's just something sort of off about this town. Like just something doesn't feel right, and it's great. It's very David Byrne, I guess. There's almost this surreal feeling that kind of underlies it, but you don't really notice it until really after the experience is over, I would think. I mean, like kind of when you're in it, you don't really notice it, but afterwards you kind of think back on it and you're like, this, like something just feels off about the town of Virgil.
The shopping mall is capped off with like the fashion show song and music video as well, which is another good moment. The outfits are great. They get progressively weirder and more ridiculous. And the song is good too. It's sung by, I think, the actor. They wear like suits made of grass, which was actually like made by a real guy that I learned. The guy who wears this grass suit, he like made those. Like he like they saw it that this guy made these like grass suits, and they're like, hey, can you make some for us for the movie? And he's like, okay, I will, but I have to wear it in the movie. And they're like, okay. And they also wear like those camouflage suits that look like brick and like wall and stuff. And there's so many like that's just a really good fun moment.
I love the whole premise of the fashion show too, because when it starts out, it's just like your very typical 80s kind of style fits, like, you know, the suits and kind of like the tight fits. And then the more you watch the fashion show, the more absurd and absurd it gets. And just the bigger the outfits get until at the end you have these outfits where like they have like hats the size of people and they're shaped like cooking ware, I guess. And
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I mean, they talk about that in the documentary. They're just like, yeah, like we went maybe like a little bit bigger because I think like Texas, like Texas just has like stuff like that. You know what I mean? And they were like, yeah, like these were real things that we saw. And we just made them like a little bit bigger, which is unbelievable. We don't like you and I don't know anything about that. We've never seen anything like that before. So putting in that in a movie is gratifying and fun and entertaining, but it's not making fun of it at all. Like it's not poking fun. It's not saying like, get a load of this. Like it's actually like very loving.
Absolutely. And then after the shopping mall scene, that's the dinner scene, right?
There's the thing about the movie, like we said, there's a lot of like very small moments here and there, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of like things that happen really quickly. They're setting up the stage and you have got one guy who's like standing on it and he does like an opera singing thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. That's just like nice and cute. But I think more or less like the next big scene is the dinner scene where he visits the mayor of Virgil.
The scene is set up in they're sitting in a dining room, and of course it's kind of that typical like
80s like shit.
80s style dining room where for some reason everyone sits. I mean, it's obviously because the camera's there, but everyone sits on one side of the table. So you have David Byrne on one end, the wife on the other, and then two kids in the middle, and in between the two kids is the mayor of Virgil,
played by Spalding Gray.
Who's that?
So Spalding Gray, that character appears a couple times and he does like these kind of weird monologues.
Yeah.
That's actually what he does. Spalding Gray was a monologuist, and he would do kind of like these sort of idiosyncratic like stand-up shows. So that's kind of like what he does. Like, so when he goes on like kind of like these very specific almost rants or like kind of stories, that's kind of like his shtick. Like he's kind of almost playing himself a little bit.
Oh,
He unfortunately killed himself actually.
oh, that's too bad.
There, Steven Soderbergh directed like a documentary about him, and he also directed like one of his shows as well. He does like one man monologue shows. I've never seen any of his stuff, but after watching this movie, I've seen this movie a few times already. I really should probably watch it. He's really funny. He's very strange.
He's definitely out there, but it would be an interesting watch. The first kind of shtick of the scene is they don't communicate directly with each other. They only communicate with the person right next to them.
That's also a story I think that gleaned from a tabloid.
And of course, like all of the shticks in this, it starts off really small, where they're just like, "Hey, pass the tiny little sandwiches or pass the cheese or whatever," and then kind of the further the shtick goes, the more elaborate it becomes, until at the point they're like having entire conversations that are relayed to the next person.
Can you tell your mom how it went today? Mom, how did it go today? She like it's funny though too though, because yeah, like you think that a couple who never talks to each other hate each other or whatever, but it's like it's not like they never like explain why they don't talk to each other. That's just how like it's just it's just weird. It's just funny. It's a funny joke.
It's just how they communicate.
Yeah, it's just how they communicate. They communicate just like through their kids or whatever. Oh man, it's that's really good. And of course, like all the food looks really gross, very 80s.
It looks awful.
You don't get it's not a song, but you get like they kind of like play Spalding. He kind of plays with the food, and he kind of like uses the food as an analogy for like how the town and the business works, and the town and the company works.
Yeah, I love the way that when he starts describing the like different things the foods represent, they put like a spotlight on the specific food right over it. Yeah. It's like, okay, this is the company, and then like a spotlight's turned on. And like this is the town, and spotlights turn on. And of course, an absolutely ridiculous and absurd explanation.
Yeah, like the company, it gives jobs to people, then those people leave the company and they make their own companies, and like yeah, I love it. Yeah, he's great. He's like throwing gummy bears everywhere. Yeah, really really fun moment. And David Byrne, he's just kind of sitting and chilling there watching them all do this, and it's great. It's a great moment. I like Spalding a lot. I think too you get like there's no song in that one, but you do get a song after that at the church, I think, right?
Yes, the conspiracy theory.
Which that one's fun. I always forget about that one. But I like that one a lot. The song goes really hard. It's like a really great song. It's like a conspiracy, like you said, a conspiracy theorist pastor. What's it called? Like the song is called
I have no idea.
Puzzling Evidence. Puzzling Evidence. Because like they do the title cards sometimes. So, shopping is a feeling. And then I think the one Puzzling Evidence. And yeah, it's like kind of like a conspiracy theory song about like how everything is connected. And you have that great choir in the back who I think that's like, once again, tons of non-actors in the movie, and I think that the choir people are real people who like sing in a choir. They might not be singing like live in that regard, but they're kind of like there so they can kind of do their thing, and it's so good. And that guy, the pastor guy, is really great. He's got like very crazy eyes and he's like going nuts. Oh, that's so good. I always forget about that part, and it's a fun watch.
It's so ridiculous and absurd. It's kind of like a deep state QAnon-esque, just absurd rant.
It's not anti-Semitic or racist. It's just
No. That's the thing about everything David Byrne sees, or everything in this movie, is even the sort of ridiculous and absurd aspects. There's no real like cruelty or making fun of or hatred, even in these conspiracy theories that are absolutely ridiculous to the nth degree. There's nothing hateful in them.
I've been going back and watching a lot of like comedy movies from like the like early 2010s and late 2000s. I don't know, man. Like one of the things that they get wrong every single time, I think, is that they're all way too mean. They're all extremely mean to the point where it's like, why would I don't want to, like, not to say that a movie can't be mean, because I think it's appropriate when a movie can be mean. A lot of like comedy movies that were really popular back then and maybe even today are just super aggressively like nasty and very cynical about people, and very just kind of like, people are so stupid, like they're so dumb, like their desires, their dreams are stupid, and but True Stories is like the opposite of that, but it's still really funny.
Agreed.
Fuck yeah. Yeah. I like that part. But yeah, moving on, I guess. I think the next part you have is just kind of like Spalding and Byrne. They're, I think, walking through the like the housing area. That's a cute little moment.
I like that scene. It's like, of course, David Byrne's kind of making the point he made earlier about this kind of repetitive sort of cookie cutter sort of, the way the houses are built, the way all of these steel buildings, they're like barns and they all look exactly the same.
Texas is the like what, like the number one in the country in like steel buildings or metal buildings.
And it's just like these gray, like prefab buildings that are put up in like 2 days. And he's like, you can buy it and then you put your business in it and then you're a successful business owner. And it's the American dream. It's great.
Or when he's driving past through like a suburb, and he's driving past like a suburban house, like a regular suburban house, and he says like, look at this, who's to say it isn't beautiful? He's right. I mean, like, we lived in like the suburbs are all of our lives, and obviously they're very cookie cutter and boring. Yeah, like, who's to say it isn't beautiful, I guess, like, or like he's like, oh wow, look at that house, it has a 4-car garage, I wonder who lives there. I like when he's like, I wonder who lives there. It's true, because it's like, I guess in every suburban house there's people, and people are, typically very interesting. I just love, like, even like when he looks at like a suburban house, which no one likes, he's still able to find kind of like, I don't know, like a kernel of like beauty or wonder.
Yeah. I love when he's talking to that civil engineer, or he's like a suburban engineer. He designs neighborhoods basically. And the way the engineer describes them being at like the precipice of,
Oh, that's Spalding Gray. That's the mayor.
okay, yeah, it's the mayor, sorry. But he's describing like they're at the precipice of civilization, and David Byrne describes how like basically suburbs are just built on top of suburbs and they just kind of grow out. And the way like suburbs start, because I mean we both grew up in suburbs, and I grew up in a suburb that when I first moved into the suburb, it was a new suburb. And moving into new suburbs is always weird, as kind of David Byrne describes it, and as you kind of see, because you're like, it's one house, like there's basically one cookie cutter house, and then just like this giant empty lot. And he's like, well, you got to imagine like they're going to put a house here and a house there, and you're kind of living in this weird future imaginary world. And it was just such a precise experience that I'm sure you also could just connect very personally with, because we grew up in those kind of environments. And to kind of see that, which you don't often see that in films, is very it felt very seen in that sense.
Yeah, well, I can't imagine like growing up in the suburbs in like Texas, because like they don't like have any trees, like they don't even have any trees, you know what I mean? At least like we had,
or like grass or anything.
well, that's all they have. All they have is grass. Like they don't have like bushes or trees, or like, and everything is flat. Like even like where we live, it's extremely flat. Even compared to like Texas, like it's still like kind of curvy, just like a little bit. But like in Texas, it's like a suburb built in the middle of nowhere. Like that's crazy to me, just like there's nothing going on. Like you could probably like look out in your backyard and see like a person like walking to you like 5 football fields away. It's like, that's crazy to me, but it's great. Yeah, it's his discussion of the suburbs and like suburban neighborhoods. It's, once again, it's not like critical, but it's not necessarily like celebratory. It's mostly just like trying to find like some kind of, I don't know, truth in it.
And then you have that great musical number with the kids where they're,
oh, the 4-H kids.
Yeah, they're like walking around, and I mean basically as kids do in newly formed suburbs where there's not really anything to do, so you mostly just walk around hitting trash cans and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're chilling, they're having a good time, man. They're having a really good time. I think also this is the moment where we're not introduced to her, but like you get like the next song, which is like a music video basically of I forget which song it is, Love for Sale, which is a good song. And the woman who never gets out of bed, she's like watching TV. Her whole thing is great too. She's like in bed and she has like mechanisms that feed her food and stuff.
She's got robots.
She has robots. She has a lot of robots. Very 80s-y. Reminds me of like in Rocky 4 when he has the robot.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
Her whole setup is funny, and she's like watching TV and she's just like, I don't know, yelling at her TV. And you get like a good music video of Love for Sale where the band members are turned into chocolate. That's the most music video-y thing in the movie, I would say. It's basically just a music video.
It's basically a music video. It's also a very I found the music video to be a bit disturbing.
Because they get turned into chocolate.
Yeah, and they're eating like they eat their heads off. It's a little disturbing.
That's true. That's true. They get turned into chocolate and they get eaten. Why did they get turned into chocolate? I like that one too. That music video is cool though. It's just like interspersed with all this like random commercial footage of like candy and candy bars and stuff. Very 80s. That's a good song though. It's a good song.
It's a good song.
The song by David Byrne, of course. I think we're kind of circling back to John Goodman at this point, who's still looking for a wife. He's failing again and again. He can't find a wife, which is a very strange character who likes all
it's like the super pink house full of stuffed animals,
frilly shit,
and she just likes to be happy, and John Goodman just isn't happy enough for her.
He sings a song about being sad, and she's like, "Oh."
I also love that shtick of every time John Goodman meets anybody, the first thing he tells them is that on Friday he's going to be singing a song he wrote. Like that's how he introduces himself to everybody.
I also love it too. Whenever John Goodman is out and about, but David Byrne always has like shots interspersed of people being like, "Oh wow, look at." We're saying John Goodman, but his character in the name is a Louis Fine. So when Louis is like performing or just like doing whatever, he always like has like footage of like women being like, "Oh wow, look at him," like like how handsome and stuff he is, which I love. It's so good, but it's not that like. Once again, they're not making fun of John Goodman or anything.
No,
he's legitimately like a great guy, and his dilemma is funny because like all the women like him a lot, but he can't seem to find like the right person that he wants to marry.
I love the rendition of the song he does too, because it's very clear that
when he sings to the woman,
because he only has like a third of the song done.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that shit is so fucking funny, dude. And then John Goodman becomes so depressed that he basically goes through like a drug type deal. The other thing about this movie too is that it's also basically like a celebration of music. Music is played throughout the movie. All kinds of different people are singing all different kinds of music too. Texas, is very diverse, and therefore the music is really diverse. So John Goodman, he goes to basically like I don't know if there's a specific name for it, but it's like a Mexican bar, like a Mexican club. Ramon, he's like performing and he's playing a song and stuff. So you hear like Mexican music playing, and like Mexican kind of like folk or rock music or something like that. And music is made by people, obviously. And a movie that's a celebration of music is also simultaneously a movie about kind of the creativity and potential of humans. Obviously music is probably one of our greatest human creations. I mean, it's insane. Texas is like the perfect place because there's so many diverse sources of it.
Absolutely. And it's a real bop. And John Goodman basically is handed a dress in which there's like I don't even know how you would describe. He's like I
don't know, like a witch doctor, like a voodoo guy. Like this sounds like really racist. It's not. Like it sounds like it would be racist. It's not. The guy that he meets is like the caretaker of the woman who never gets out of bed, and they show up to his house, and his house is awesome. It's so weird. It's great looking.
It sure is. And he has like this room of prayer, I guess you'd call it, or a meditation room or something. It kind of has some sort of maybe Buddhist kind of Hindu vibes to it, I guess. There's like a lot of
there's a lot of skulls everywhere, which make me think of like, I don't know. There are like pictures of like, I think the Virgin Mary and Jesus too. So I think maybe it's like some kind of like a type of Christianity that is sort of more Hispanic kind of, with like kind of like these Hispanic traditions and stuff. And yeah, something like that. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Like they never explain like any of these things. It's just like the way that it is. And it's great. Like, it looks great.
Yeah. Great set design. And John Goodman is there and he's like, all these women love me, but I can't find the woman of my life. And then of course he also needs help because he has a big song coming up, as
Yeah.
he again lets them know.
He's wearing like a baby blue suit in the scene. His suits are great in the movie.
Just top notch fits, all of the fits, just
All the fits.
over the top and the best. And that's what John Goodman asked for. He's like, I'd like you to do your prayer or whatever it is.
Give him good luck.
Yeah, give him the luck that he needs. And so he gives him all of his medals, metallic things, and I guess it's set in place.
Yeah. After that too, I think you get the parade scene too, which is really good. There's tons of extras in the movie. And I think they're all real. Like, I think they're all real people. Like the people with the babies, I think those are people with their babies. The band, I think, too, is like a real band, like the marching band. I like it too when they're coming through. I think what's the parade called? Like the event of specialness or something like that.
Yeah, because that's something to do with like, I can't remember. They have like a specific name for the 150-year anniversary. And then there's also like specialness involved in it too. It's a ridiculous parade.
I like when the parade comes through. It's like a silly parade. There's like polka musicians and stuff, and what are the guys in like the little cars? What are they called?
Yeah, and the hats.
What are they called? They're
isn't it like
Shriners?
Like a
Shriners.
maybe. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the Shriners. They have the fezzes and they're driving their little cars. Those guys are definitely real people. Like those are not actors.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, they're definitely not actors. And I love, they march through the city, and I love the shot where like they everybody's like looking down the street, and like the parade is like not stopping. Like it just looks like it's going to continue forever.
Just keeps going.
As if it's like going to go around the world, until it comes back around another year. I love that moment. Yeah, I like the parade moment a lot.
For me, the parade feels so personal in the sense that I have been to many, many, many parades in my lifetime. Because growing up in the Midwest, there's like a parade for every event. Like every month, there's
like at least like 4 or 5 times a year. Yeah,
there's like parades all of the time, and they're all just like that.
In New York City, it seems like it's probably worse.
Probably, but I mean, like the thing that's so great about local parades, which is this very much is, and of course we grew up with local parades all the time, is they kind of just let anybody in. So it always is just like this weird eclectic taste. Like first you'll see a marching band, and then you may see people playing bagpipes, and then you may see Shriners, and then you may see like
the polka guys.
Yeah, like it's just absolutely absurd, and that's how all parades are, and that's what makes them so lovely. And I think in many ways that's kind of the epitome of this film, right? Because in one sense,
it's a parade,
and in the sense that a parade is very average in the sense, right, everyone kind of follows the same rules, all the same regulations, right? They all walk down the same path, they're all in the same place. But then simultaneously there's all these different like little groups and ins and outs and all these like individual things within it. So it creates a strange dichotomy of being incredibly average and normal, but simultaneously weird and unique in itself.
This kind of goes with the next part, which is the actual talent show. It's finally here, where in the documentary they talk about how they had a real talent show, and they said that 130 people like came to the talent show, and they used the people that they used for the parade and the actual talent show in the movie. But even if they didn't make either one of those, they were still used as like extras or other things throughout the movie as well.
Incredible.
Which sounds like that's a lot of work. Like 130 acts. And they in the documentary they also showed like they have like a Polaroid of all the people that they saw. That's crazy. That's so much work. That's just incredible filmmaking. It's so good, but it's very small. It's not like it doesn't have anything to do with directing. It has to do with casting, but yet it's so good. And you, of course, like, right after the parade, you get the talent show.
Talent show is cool. There's some cool talents, like the one where it's two auctioneers and
they're like battling
yodeler, I guess, perhaps. And they just do like this auctioneer battle. It's very impressive. Very Texas.
Yeah, very Texas. Very, very Texas. Apparently, like, the casting director for the movie, like she knew the yodeling guy, like in real life, she knew him. She's like, oh yeah, I gotta hire this guy. Good idea. That's a fun little moment. I like, there's a lot of like different like performances. There's just like, I like the line dancers, like the old women, like dressed up in like the flag garb, the
US flag.
like bands and stuff. You get to see Ramone's band perform Radiohead which I think is like, yeah, which is great. You have that weird one where it's like the shadows. It's like an art school type thing.
The shadows, those things are so cool.
Yeah, they're just really good. And of course, the talent show is capped off with a performance, a singing performance from John Goodman, along with during the talent show they also intersperse the guy does a song. The guy who's trying to give John Goodman good luck. He does a little song too during the talent show, and then basically right after that, John Goodman does his song, which is great. It's a great song. It's so good.
Sure is. Everyone looks like they're having a great time. John Goodman looks like he's having a lot of fun too. And it's a good song. It's a real bop.
Yeah, I like the lyric in that song too when he's like we don't want freedom, we don't want justice, we just want someone to love. I also forgot to mention he does like that little commercial where he's like trying to look for a wife, which is one of the funniest moments in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm 6'3" and I have a consistent panda bear shape. That's so good.
It's the best line in the movie.
It's so funny. Yeah, that's like the best line in the movie. How could I forget? But he does the song and he gets a call from the woman in bed who was watching him on TV, and they get married.
In her bed.
It worked. His luck. Yeah, they're just like, I guess they're both just going to be there forever.
I guess so.
Whatever. I mean, they got married, so.
I love that line early in the movie when David Byrne first introduces the woman that never gets out of bed. He's like, the woman never gets out of bed because she has enough money to where she never has to. Wouldn't you do the same thing?
Yeah, wouldn't you do the same? Yeah, he probably said it like, wouldn't you do the same thing? Yeah, I love that. Yeah, she's like a rich woman, and that's so funny. That character's good. All the characters are good. And John Goodman, yeah, like they get married and they it's happily ever after for them. It's great. It's just like it's the two stories have collided. That's kind of the end of the movie. I mean, you have David Byrne, he like drives away and he has that great line where he talks about like once you get used to a place, you stop to notice like all the little like things about it. And so you kind of have to like forget it or so you can come back and like I love that line.
Yeah, like Wheezy said something like my favorite thing about visiting a sitting is forgetting, because when I forget, then I can experience it all again.
Such a good line. So good. There's probably like a lot of David Byrne stuff we missed.
Probably.
I have to continue to say how good he is in it. And I think like the last part is that you have like the little girl, which at the beginning you saw at the beginning of the movie where she like walks toward us. She's like playing and singing. She like walks. And then like the ending scene, the credit scene is her walking the opposite way. Texas, I'm also a sucker for like movies that take place in Texas, and the way that the shots look are great because you just have the horizon line because it's like we talked about. There's no trees, there's nothing going on, so shots of the movie look great because all it is just like a horizon line right across the middle of the screen, sky, land. It's perfect, and yeah, that's how the movie ends. Is just like the little girl walking away. It's cute. It's cute. It ends on a very like nice, very feel good moment of like a girl kind of just being herself and having fun by herself, even though she's by herself.
Final thoughts, Andrew?
Yeah. No, true stories, incredible movie. It's so vivid and funny and interesting, and the music's all good. All the actors and non-actors are great. It looks amazing. One of my favorite shots in the movie is that businessman. It's like a shot of like a businessman in a window and he's dancing and it's like really blue.
Incredible shot.
That's like one of the like most beautiful shots like I've ever seen in a movie.
It's absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, the whole movie looks great. It's incredibly directed. It's funny. Like it just has everything you want in a movie. It's very positive. It's very optimistic. So it's just like an incredibly like fun, good time. And that's all it's just through and through. Nice, clean 90-minute movie. I don't think it's a perfect movie because I think a person could maybe not really get into kind of like the vignette style. It doesn't have like a strong like narrative through and through, but in terms of like the kind of movie that it is and what it's trying to do, it succeeds like on all fronts, just for what it is. So yeah, like just in terms of just like my own personal enjoyment, like I have to give it a 10. I just have to. And I'm biased. I like David Byrne. I like Talking Heads. I love movies that are filmed in Texas. But yeah, that's how I feel.
That's dope. I feel that. I mean, I have a lot of the same thoughts. I love everything David Byrne is in. I think his perspective on the world is so strange and weird and unique. And if I had any real complaints with the film, it's that I wish David Byrne was in more of it. I almost wish the whole film was kind of just David Byrne walking around seeing things, because those moments to me are just so weird and so spectacular. I think John Goodman gives a good performance, but for me personally, I didn't really connect with his story. I don't know. I didn't find it as funny as I think it was supposed to be. I wasn't really interested in the story of the woman that lied in bed all day. I don't know why. Like, there's no like particular reason. I mean, as kind of we talked about, there's some incredible visual direction, and a lot of the non-actors do really well. And I like John Goodman's performance. I just really didn't connect with his character that much. I just didn't find it that funny, I guess. So at the end of the day, I think I'm going to give this film a 6 out of 10. I think there are moments that are incredible. I think everything with David Byrne, top notch stuff. And like, if you just had those as their own like little vignettes, and you really could just take them right as their own kind of little short films, incredible. Amazing editing throughout, incredible montages. But I don't know. For me, the stuff with John Goodman and the woman in bed, it just didn't click. All right, y'all. Thank you for listening. Thank you to our wonderful Shannon, our editor. They are truly the best in the business. And you can find this podcast wherever you hear podcasts. And you can find me at Austin Lugo 12.
You can find me on Twitter at 80harp24. I'm also on Letterboxd at Retro Andrew, RETR0 Andrew.
And you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at With Nothing to Say Podcast. And thank you all for listening.
Thank you.